So another week, another Georgia Bulldogs review game. It was pretty disappointing in the win column, but UGA still got the win, so I don't have a lot of complaining to do. However, before I get into this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit, and without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, of course, Georgia came out with a win over Kent State, 39-22. I'm going to get into Stetson Bennett. He really did struggle early, but he came through 27 for 36, 272 yards, one rushing touchdown. Not the best game, but most certainly not the worst game. You know, a pretty average, middle-of-the-pack game for Stetson Bennett, if you ask me. Now, of course, going to our receivers, Brock Bowers was dominant in the receiving game and rushing game. Going to get into the rushing game later. However, 5 receptions for 60 yards. Brock Bowers, again, in my opinion, the best tight end in college football by a pretty big margin, if you ask me. Now, Ladd McConkey, 6 receptions for 65 yards. He did have a really good second half, but had 2 bad fumbles in the first half. Really didn't set Georgia up really well. Both of those fumbles were actually lost, so Ladd McConkey did struggle early in this game, but he came back. He was able to revamp, and ultimately, he ended up having a really good performance. Now, of course, moving on to the rushing game, you're going to need to hear this twice to be able to really comprehend it. Brock Bowers was our leading rusher in this game. 2 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both carries went for touchdowns. This includes a 75-yard rushing touchdown to begin the game for Georgia's offense. Absolutely amazing. The rushing game wasn't particularly great, but I mean, when you have a freak in Brock Bowers, I mean, things get a little bit easier. Brock Bowers, really good game. I think he had a great performance. Also, Daijun Edwards, an upcoming running back at UGA, and I think he could be a star. 12 carries, 73 yards. Edwards doesn't see a lot of carries. However, he does make the best advantage of those carries. He does take advantage of those carries, and I'm really excited to see him possibly slip into a starting role. I think he's been our best running back this year, and has been ultimately one of our most underrated players throughout maybe the last 2 to 3 years at UGA. I cannot wait for Daijun Edwards to get his chance. Really solid game as well. Now, getting to a really disappointing part of this video. The Georgia defense might have played their worst game that I've seen them play in well over a year. They forced only 1 turnover. Kent State forced 3, so they lost the turnover battle for the first time in a while. Injuries are also starting to really pile up, and they're playing a huge role. UGA is going to need to find some depth, especially at those DB positions. And when I say DBs, I'm talking about safeties and corners. UGA has got to find an opposite side safety to back up or even start next to Christopher Smith. The safeties have been really inaccurate. They've been inconsistent. They haven't been particularly great for UGA this season. The DBs, I think they will be fine. Keely Ringo is actually a really good cornerback. He's the #1 ranked cornerback in a lot of draft classes coming up this year. So I do think that'll be okay, but I think UGA needs to establish some depth and quickly because these injuries are really starting to pile up on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, UGA, they still got the win, but we did not play anywhere near our standards. Our standards, we should have won this game by 50, maybe even 60 points. And all respect to Kent State, they put up an amazing fight. They have a really good coach, really good staff. However, as far as UGA goes, you got to go back in, refocus. Your 2 home games have been by far your 2 worst games of the season. I think UGA needs to go and refocus because next week we have Mizzou, and we know Mizzou, no joke of a team, SEC East competitor. UGA really needs to focus if they want to go undefeated this season. Now, of course, for a little bit of a recap, this was about the most disappointing win you could ever have. They lost the turnover battle. They could not stop Kent State at one point on the defensive side of the ball. However, Brock Bowers, in a positive, played a huge role in us winning this game. Without Brock Bowers, this game would have been a lot closer, and who knows, we might have even lost. Kirby Smart, he really needs to get that Georgia defense refocused. 2 disappointing games that have both been at home. Not really a good look when your 2 home games are your 2 most disappointing games. You can't have that, especially in the SEC, where home field advantage is a thing, and it is really critical, especially going into the ending parts of the season. Now, of course, as for the next game, Georgia goes against Missouri all the way in Missouri, I believe, at 7:30 on Saturday. Should be a really good game. Georgia needs to once again focus in and get this win in order to stay #1 and stay atop the SEC East. Now, of course, pretty short video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell. You guys tell me a little bit. Of course, there's going to be a lot more content coming into the On the Mic Extras channel, a channel I've been talking about on this channel for a while. So if you guys are interested, go and subscribe. That link is in the description as usual. But of course, without further ado, I wish you nothing but the best. Stay loved, stay blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.